Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got 4 replays in the Japanese Tier 9 Tech Tree Tank Destroyer, the Ho-Ri-1. Now as always, if you do like the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe down below, as it really does help out the channel. And yes, the Ho-Ri-1. This has actually been quite a fun tank to play. I didn't particularly enjoy it that much stock, because I didn't really like the stock 127mm gun that you get, which is what you're seeing in this very first replay, because it just seemed to like to miss, which was deeply frustrating. And you're going to see a bit of that in this replay, to be fair. This just is sort of a more average game for it, and it was also with this 127mm gun. It was one of the games that didn't corrupt for it. And I did actually grind most of this tank stock on stream, so if you want to go check out the whole stock grind for this tank, and then the first 2 games that I actually had with the big gun in this tank on stream, go check out the stream. I'll leave a link to that stream down below, because, yeah, if you don't know, I've been having issues with the Xbox record system recently, where it's just decided where, after recording 2 or 3 games, it goes, nope, not allowed to record anymore. That's it. You can't do it until you reset your Xbox, which is a pain. Which means that during streams and that, I do lose quite a lot of replays, because I can't just go and reset the Xbox, and I also can't record them using my capture card, because I'm streaming and it would have the whole stream overlay stuff, which is an absolute pain. By the way, this is the gun in a nutshell for me. Hello, TVP. What was that gun? Really? That was the 127mm gun in a nutshell for me the entire time I played it, by the way. That shot right there sums it up. But yeah, so I've ended up losing quite a lot of replays, so yeah, go check out that stream in the link down below, because it did have basically the full stock grind of this vehicle, plus 1 or 2 games that were really quite nice that I couldn't get recorded because they just, well, they corrupted, because the system is a pain sometimes. But yeah, the Ho-Ri-1, you do have this 127mm gun as a stock gun, which does have 500 alpha, and that does hit quite hard when it does hit. You also have the pretty decent penetration on that gun of 265 penetration on the standard AP, with 305 penetration on the premium AP, with 80 penetration on the HE, which has 930 meters a second shell velocity on the standard round, 1,100 meters a second shell velocity on the premium round, which again is really nice on the premium round. It means that you really don't have to lead quite as much with it as you do with the standard round. You also have this multi-weapon system, which can be quite good, because, well, it's not the most useful at times, but if you, well, because you have 122 penetration on the premium ammo, which you should load full gold on this multi-weapon system, because it's useless without it. 122 pen doesn't sound like a lot, and it isn't really. But if you get people's sides, like we had the FV4202P there, and like lots of lightly armored targets, like the, you know, the Waffle Panzer IV that I've just seen on the right over there somewhere, like Leopards, like STBs, you know, all sorts like that. It just means that you can keep the damage ticking up while your main gun reloads, and naturally when you've fully upgraded this tank and you've put on the 149mm gun, you will have quite a long reload, so being able to just keep the damage ticking also makes people think twice as well. Plus, also, actually, one thing that is quite useful for this tank is baiting. By that I mean, you fire the secondary weapon system and someone sees the shell fly past and they go, oh, he's fired, pull out, and then you blap them with the main gun. Yeah, it can be pretty nice in that regard. And there was the gun again deciding that, you know what, I don't want to hit that FE4202P, he can live. But yeah, it's quite a nice asset to have on the tank. The armour on this tank also does work quite well, but the armour on this thing is the same as the tier 10, in that you have 300mm of thickness on the superstructure and 350mm of thickness on the gun mantlet. Now, 300mm of thickness is actually pretty good, because that means you will bounce quite a lot of the standard rounds you're going to face, and especially if you're on a ridgeline using the gun depression, going hull down, all that sort of stuff, you will bounce a lot of shells off of it. But it's quite painful and quite bad, because it's completely flat, which means that as soon as, and you're going to face a lot of tier 10s, because you're tier 9, and you're going to face a lot of tier 9 guns as well, naturally, because you're tier 9, those guns tend to have more than 300 pen on their premium rounds, which means that generally they will start to go through your superstructure. And that's the annoying bit, because it's like your armor is really good until it's not. And that may sound so stupid, but it's just the way it is, right? Is that you can bounce all the shots, and then someone goes, oh, it's a ho-re. Bounces the first shot, which is standard round, and then just loads gold, and thus your armor completely becomes poo. And you sit there going, oh, but my armor was working. And that's the experience of the ho-re 1. And to be honest, it's a similar experience with the ho-re 3 as well, where you do have that issue that you go, yes, I'm bouncing stuff. Oh, no, my armor's gone. Oh, no. But when you're slapping people, the way you want to play this tank, the same as the tier 10, is that you kind of want to play that peekaboo roll. You don't want to be too aggressive in too much in people's faces. You want to be poking around the corner, going blap, and then pull back around the corner and get safe. Meanwhile, keeping the gun firing as much as you can, keeping yourself in the battle as active as possible. So what do I run in terms of a crew and equipment on the old ho-re 1? Well, I run pretty much the same as what I've done throughout the most of this tech tree, and that is Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Camouflage Expertise, Silent Driving, Steady Aim, Run and Gun, and Clutch Braking. Clutch Braking to make the track traverse better so I can get this gun on target as quickly as possible. The Steady Aim and Run and Gun to make the gun as good as it can be. I take Run and Gun so that I lower the accuracy during movement so that I can take those pot shots on the move, but also it just means that the gun doesn't bloom out quite as much when you are fully on the move. And then I take Silent Driving to reduce the camo while moving, and Camouflage Expertise to make the camo just really quite nice in general. And then the Advanced Loader to make the DPM 10% better, the Camo Net to make the camo really good, because you can get it down to a good level with this tank, and the optics to be able to get my view range up as high as possible so I can spot for myself, but also so I can spot things at further distances and keep myself unspotted while using the fantastic camo on this vehicle. So yeah, this tank with that build that I've got does have 253 meters of still concealment, which is really good. It really helps you to stay unspotted. With 499 meters of view range as well as that, which means that, again, with the 499 meters view range, when you're spotting things up to 445 meters, you are spotting them at a great distance, which means that you will have that bigger gap between you and your target that you're firing at, so that you can stay unspotted quite easily. Now, this is another one where the gun just says no. So we've loaded HE for the Iron Rain, and sadly, most of the Iron Rain in the target, the shot flies high. It's another one of where, you know, that gun just decides nah. But we do have the multi-weapon system, and we were unloading towards the Iron Rain, and sadly, yeah, the 4005 deletes him just as we reload, which is typical, right? That's just what happens. But yeah, the tank also, this ho-re 1 actually, also goes at 32 kilometers an hour. So you are 2 kilometers an hour faster than the ho-re that was at tier 8, which is what the ho-re 2. Weird, it's weird because you got the ho-re 2 at tier 8, the ho-re 1 at tier 9, and then the ho-re 3 at tier 10. It's just like, what? Why not ho-re 1, 2, 3? Oh, come on. Come on, Japanese TDs. Where's the naming conventions? But anyway. So yeah, you got 32 kilometers an hour, and when you stock, obviously it's a little bit sluggish, so you do struggle up to it a little bit. But when you get that top engine, you will have no real problem hitting the 32 kilometers an hour. I mean, if you decide that you don't really want to set up for stealth, you can definitely run the traction system that would get you up to 35 kilometers an hour. It would also help you track traverse, which is quite nice, because with the build we've got at the minute, it's 32.7 degrees a second on the hull rotation, which is pretty good. But if you were to put the traction system on, you start to get up towards 35 degrees a second, which is pretty damn quick. But that's down to you and how you want to set up the tank. I mean, you could also run vents just to make everything better in the tank if you wanted to as well. And the same with the crew, really. If you didn't want to run and gun, for example, you could drop that and put Trap Mechanic on. And Trap Mechanic would actually be quite useful for this tank, same as it would be for the ho-re 3. I don't run it just because I try and make the camo as good as possible. But it would be quite useful because the amount of times that I've been playing the ho-re 1, same as the ho-re 3, and then someone tracks me, and thus I get wrecked because my repair kit's already gone, it's quite frustrating. So Trap Mechanic might be something that you do want to take in general. So you saw for that first game, we finished with the victory, 0 kills, 2.6k damage, 1300 assistance, the third class, 1144 base XP, a pretty decent game there for the ho-re 1. It's a fairly average game, really. And that just showed the 127 for me, where, you know, it's quite nice when it hits, and you make sure you fully aim it and stuff, it will hit, but it loves missing. It loves, if it has that slither of a tank, that's, you know, that slither of a gap where it can't hit a tank, it will. And that is deeply frustrating. That shot on the TVP, like I say, that's one of the reasons why I liked that replay. Well, I didn't like that replay because it was like, oh, Come on, gun, behave, you know, like the shot on the TVP and the Iron Rain. But I like that replay to show you guys, because that shot on the TVP was the exact epitome of what I'm talking about. That's exactly what it does every single time. If it can find that small gap to miss, it just does, and it was frustrating. Which is a completely different story to this top gun. This top 149mm gun, the 14.9cm gun Type 96 that you get fully upgraded, is a thing of beauty. I love it. It's honestly, it makes the tank so nice to play, because you go from having 500 alpha with like 250 pen to having a gun that has 290 penetration on its standard AP, with 325 penetration on its premium AP, and 90 penetration on its HE as well, for 650 damage on its standard AP and premium AP, with 840 on the HE. The 650 alpha is really, really nice, and it absolutely slaps. And it just gives you a bit of the old stopping power, which is quite good. It means that, you know, you've got a bit of fear factor about you, because you know that if something's going to, or if you're going to shoot at something, you're going to hurt it quite a lot. And it gives you a better ability of playing peekaboo as well, because you can obviously hit things, pull back around the corner, and you feel like you're more impactful in that regard. And yeah, it is just such a nice gun, honestly. Like, the soft stats on it are really nice, because you've got 0.29 accuracy with the setup I've got. You've got 1.64 accuracy during movement, with 0.78 accuracy during rotation, which means that the gun barely ever blooms out that badly. And because you've got 2.39 second aim time, which is a little bit long, because of that, accuracy during movement and rotation, you don't really feel that 2.39 second aim time with the setup we've got that badly, which is definitely a very, very nice factor for the tank. Also, those two bounces on the Orochi. What's that? 290 pen, my gun? Come on. You got to be pending that Orochi. We penned it there with a blind shot. But yeah, so you don't really feel the aim time that badly, and you're basically always ready to slap out the rounds with it. The standard AP has 950 meters a second shot velocity on that. It has 1150 on the premium AP, which is definitely quite nice, and you can just lead your targets at a good distance with either of the rounds. I mean, it is just such a nice gun, and with the setup we've got a 3.3k DPM, which is, again, great. It just means that you just keep pumping out the rounds, you're hitting people quite hard, and you're doing it really quite consistently as well. And with 7 degrees of gun depression on this tank, by the way, with both guns, it's quite useful on a ridgeline. It's not the best ridgeline user, obviously, in the universe, because obviously it doesn't have like 9 or 10 degrees, but it means that you can play a ridgeline, and again, you can accentuate your upper structure armor by using the ridgeline and make it so that it is harder to pen in that regard. It's just the same, the tier 9 and the tier 10 are the same in that you basically have to know what you're fighting and know what could shoot you, because naturally, tanks with less than 300 pen are going to struggle with your superstructure, and you will bounce a lot. You will bounce a lot with it, and it is definitely great for that, and it will lend you to ricocheting quite a lot. But like I say, you just notice that as soon as they press A, it's just curtains for your armor, which is a little bit sad. So this second game that we're here on Hidden Village is a fairly average game for the big gun, and we're up to 3.1k damage with 485 assistance. Now, I didn't expect the guys on my left to be looking at me. I thought they would be looking towards the tanks that are flying up from their cap, but we've managed to get a shot into the artillery, and we're just using the multi-weapon system now to keep farming this guy's hit points down while with the main cannon loads. We put him down to a one-shot. Sadly, that shot misses, but we do get the shot in to kill the artillery. Just making sure to try and get the shot into the huntsman with the main cannon, and sadly, just as we fire, he gets shut down by our team coming around the corner. We finished the game with a decent total there with the epic victory, 2 kills, 4.3k damage, 485 assistance. The first class with 1529 base XP, a pretty decent game there for the old Hori one on Hidden Village. And we're on to the third replay. In this third replay, we are on Severogorsk. And on Severogorsk, it is Encounter, which means the spawns are just a little bit wonky, because obviously, naturally, it's not the normal spawns. And what we're going to do on that is we are going to push up to E3 and try and get some shots at the people that will poke the rock at F3 themselves from their spawn. Now, if they poke that rock on F3, a lot of the time people will poke around that corner a little bit too aggressively, and from their side, you can't quite cover your lower plate half the time, especially if they're in quite a small tank. If they want to get shots at you, they have to overexpose quite a lot of the time, and thus you will also get big shots into them, which is quite nice. If they're a taller tank, they can just look round the rock anyway and laugh at you, but it is what it is. So we're just going to try and get over there and help the team win this side if we can, and then we can see what happens with the other spawn, because well, we got 5 going down the 9 line, and most of the rest of the team is actually with us, so that's like, what, 9 or 10 tanks. So we're just going to push aggressively. We take a hit from the M46 pattern there. There's another Ho-Ri, who I pop a shot towards his superstructure on the move. He misses me, I miss him. And we're just going to keep moving. I want to get as close as possible. The IS pops a shot at us, only damages our gun. If these guys shoot our lower plate, then it could be quite bad, but well, they're just not at this point. The Oni drives around the corner. It's like, hello, Mr. Oni. Just let me reload so I can get a big shot into you. So we're aiming for the lower plate of the Oni. Put the shot in for 507. That's quite the low roll. But then again, seeing as it's an Oni and being a super heavy, he could quite easily be running armor angling and the advanced armor. And thus, that's why my round didn't pen for higher than 507. But we get rid of the Oni. Now we're moving in closer to the Ho-Ri and the SMV. So we go for the shot into the side of the SMV CC67, and it just flies above him. It's like, come on, gun, don't do that. That's not what we want to see. So instead I decide to go after the Ho-Ri. I fire the AP round, the standard round, into his superstructure, and naturally, I only have 290 pen, so I can't, guaranteed, unless I high roll the pen, go through the superstructure of an Ho-Ri. But if I load premium, you've just seen the problem. I mean, granted, this has... Wait, it's got 325 penetration on its premium AP. 325 is high, but considering a lot of the guns you might face, that's not that high. You know, there's a lot of guns that are firing 340 pen, 350 pen. What you might go against at tier 9 and 10, right? So we managed to just go straight through his superstructure, no problem whatsoever. And that, again, is inherently the bad part about the Ho-Ri 3 and Ho-Ri 1. Can be a bit of a pain in that regard. But we slap the Ho-Ri 1 with another shot that goes straight through his upper plate, finishing him off. We noticed that the tank in their base is, or in their spawn, sorry, is AFK. So I decided to just drive round and get rid of the M46 pattern there. Getting our 4th kill of this game for 2.7k damage. Now swiveling to try and get the finish on the IS, but he gets shut down. There was some shots flying in from the left, so we do have to be careful of that. We spot the SU-14-1, who were just looking for a shot, but we could only see his gun, so I wasn't going to risk just shooting at that artillery and only breaking his gun while the STA-2 is there. So we get a shot into the STA-2. We're just watching him, or the Senshi, and unfortunately we don't quite get the shot in to kill that guy. But we do realise, okay, there is no point... You know, it'd be nice to go after the artillery, but just look at what's happening. There's like 4 or 5 tanks, about 4 tanks that were spotted down the B-C line. So what I'm going to try and do is cut back and see if I can catch some of them out that might be crossing and get some shots in that way, or try and get some shots from this little ridge here as they cross, because you never know. Plus, if my team spots stuff like that medium at J7, I can also get shots at them from here. I can pull back, get some safety, get hull down. You know, there's lots of different things I could do from this position. So I want to do that. And I think, well, my team's got that wrapped up on that K-line. They should be able to just go in, get some shots, shut down the artillery and get rid of the medium tank maybe. And we should be okay. But I realise, okay, yeah, they should be appearing now at E3. They should be coming round. So what I'm going to do is back up and try and get some safety. Try and forge a little position for myself to try and shut down this flank if I can do it. So we're just going to move the dead wreck of the SMV here. So it's easier for me to get around the corner and also easier for me to use. We end up bouncing the T-54, and that T-54 is a one-shot, so I'm kind of thinking, right, is he going to give me a shot? If he's not going to give me a shot, I might want to go after him, because the TD is spotted down at G7, the medium tank is spotted at K8, the TD is the T-25/2, and there's a Panzer 58 Mutz. They are both on this right-hand side, and I'm thinking, okay, I can't get a shot at him because they got unspotted. I try and pop a blind shot towards where that Mutz was last seen, because you never know, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, but sadly, we didn't hit it. So in my mind now, there's a T-25/2 on the H line and the Panzer 58 Mutts on the K line. So they're going to be chasing up to come this way. So what I want to do is now clear out this side at DE3. I want to clear out this side at DE3 so that there's nothing that could really threaten me from this left-hand side, and then I can turn around to deal with the T25/2 and the Panzer 58 Mutts. So we come around the corner, it's like, oh, hello, Mr. T-54. He gets a shot into us. We managed to hot shot the shot into him and shut him down. He's gone. There is a tank in the cap currently, which is not good because that pressure is going to be a little bit awkward. I do kind of want to get rid of that if I can. So you can see I've turned around to face the JK because I think, well, that Mutts and T25/2 have got to be coming from this way, right? There's a Tiger 2. We put a shot straight through his upper plate, and he is now looking for the shot into us. We bounce the shot here. And this Tiger 2 is going to get a little bit overconfident because he's clearly seen that I'm the last one alive. So he comes after us. We put a shot straight through his lower plate. Luckily, because we keep moving as much as possible, we just wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Don't make it as easy as he can do for the enemy tank to pen you. He ricochets. He bounces again. And we make sure we get the kill. So we've shut down the Tiger 2. And again, I'm expecting the Mutts or the T25/2 to just appear at some stage to come after us. We've got our 6th kill, we're up to 4.8k damage, but that cap is starting to play on my mind a little bit. And there we go, there's another tank, it's a 705, it's like, hello Mr. 705, he drives that, gives us a shot through his little drive wheel, and we finish him off, getting our 7th kill of the game. And now, once again, I'm thinking of the cap, and I'm thinking, once again, there's now a blockage on that right-hand side, right? Which means if they come from the right-hand side, I'm going to have a bit of time to be able to reload and, you know, a bit of time to deal with that. We've ricocheted off the SMV's top of his turret, and I get detected there. And I think, okay, that's not the SMV looking at me because he's behind the ridge line. So we switch to HE, and just as we switch to HE so we could just reset the cap, naturally, the Mutts and the T25/2 came from the side that I didn't expect them to come from. And if we'd not hit to reload to HE, we'd have had a shot ready to put into either of those two guys. But we got the HE in anyway, so we splashed the T25/2, kill him. But sadly, we had to get rid of a gun, and the Mutts managed to take 2 or 3 shots into our back. And we get finished off by that Mutts, which is such a sad... That was such bad timing. We decided, okay, I'm going to switch to HE so I can reset the cap. And just as I did that, they drove around the corner, and it's like, goodness gracious me, I'd have had a shot ready for that T25/2, but we do finish the game with the Ace tank, the Radley Walters, Devastator, High Caliber, Top Gun, 1207 base XP on a loss, which was very sad times. Sad, sad times. It was just really bad timing, it really, really was, but hey-ho. And we're on to the 4th and final replay. In the 4th and final replay, once again, we are on Severogorsk, because this week has been a lot of Severogorsk, and we are going to go to a similar position that we were just fighting on towards D3. It is normal battle, so the normal spawns apply, thus the normal sort of fight is probably going to happen, and that is that they'll probably send quite a few people across the B line. They might send 1 or 2 down the 9 line, and we could try and get Hull down at D3 and shoot the people that cross along the B line and try and stop them getting to C1D1, so, you know, stop them making a beeline for it. Oh dear, that was terrible. I'm sorry for your ears, people. That was, yeah, what can I say? So, we are trying to get there as quickly as possible. This is where the Hori is a little bit sad sometimes. Well, just this kind of tank, really. Is that, look how many of their tanks are already making it across, and that's because we can't go much faster than 32. Which means you can't get to that fast, quick, aggressive position like the G-Saw has here to be able to cut off that cross. But we still managed to catch 1 or 2 out. And that is the 257 down there. There's a Vanguard. It's like, Mr. Vanguard, could you please just get out of my game? So we put a big shot through the Vanguard, which is great. The Centurion 7-1's come in. So once again, I'm trying to make it as hard as possible for him to penetrate me. And by doing that, I have pulled back to a point where he could only really see my upper superstructure. And naturally, a Centurion 7-1 has 267 penetration. And, well, he's going to struggle to go through my superstructure with that. He's not going to pen it unless he gets extremely lucky. The 257 down there is the exact same. What I've got to do is make sure that I am not overexposing my hull, because my hull is where they are going to pen it. Like, the mid-plate is really good. It's like 200... the mid-plate on the Hori 1 is 245 millimeters of armor, which is slightly sloped. So it's good enough to bounce shots that are like 250, 260 pen. especially if you angle it and then they're shooting up at you. But it's not something you truly want to rely on and give people free shots at that do have that 260 pen, because, you know, it's a 50-50, and thus it's not going to go well for you if you try and rely on that. But, you know, your superstructure can be pretty useful. So we're going for the roof deck of that 257, and sadly, it ricocheted. There's a Jagdtiger here. We got shot by a Panzerjäger that you can see the shells flying in. I'm loading premium AP because Mr. Jagdtiger can go through my superstructure with premium AP, and I just anticipate that's what he's probably firing. And we load the premium AP so that we can go through his superstructure. Sad times that it is, but that's sad. This is what it is for the Jagdtiger and for the Ho-Ri in that regard, I suppose. So we got a shot through the Jagdtiger's superstructure. There's a Tiger 2 crossing in the open. I'm thinking, can I get a shot at that guy? But I can't quite find it. I don't want to lose another shot of damage to the Jagdtiger. We actually bounced something else there, and it's like, oh, this is quite awkward. They're seemingly coming around on the other side as well. And we're just having to keep an eye on what's going off everywhere, pretty much, in this game. That Panzerjäger is still back there. The Centurion 7-1 drives out and goes, kill me! So we do. It's like, okay, Mr. Centurion 7-1, I get it, you want to die. We shot him down. We did take a hit from the Panzerjäger. And then we've realised the CNH 105-1000 has been shut down over here. We really need to make sure that we're going to win this side. So we get a shot through the 257 there, and the 257 pens us in the upper plate, which means that we are now a one-shot for a few of those tanks around this corner. We're not quite a one-shot for the 257, but I do want to try and get rid of this guy if I can, so I aim for the cupolas, and of course, the gun goes high. I'm just keeping my eye on behind us as well. The 257 doesn't pen us, he only tracks us. And the G-Saw is looking for shots into the 257, but he ends up getting shot down by the E75. But we know that they've both just fired at him, so I'm trying to get the shot in. The Ho-Ri 2 drives out and gives us a side, so we put a shot straight through the side of the Ho-Ri, and we're going to, make it as difficult as humanly possible. We've now got a dead wreck in front of us. I've just got to keep moving and wiggling. Keep moving and wiggling. The E75 fires, and the 257 is giving us the possible chance to get a shot through his upper plate. So it's like, well, okay, you know what? Let's get a shot through the cupola if we can. We'll aim it up, slam it home. The E75 is looking for shots again, so we're just going to use the dead wreck of the G-Saw to keep us covered. You can see I'm just keeping my eye on that right-hand side, but the E75 fired, and it's like, Mr. E75, okay, we get a shot through his lower plate, or at least I thought he'd fired, but he actually hadn't. But we are just going to side scrape now. I say side scrape. We're just going to, again, angle, keep it as awkward as possible. I'm trying to bait the shot. I'm hoping he will bounce and then give me the chance to get a shot through. So we get a shot through his drive wheel. You can see it again. I'm wiggling, 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 wiggling. Make it as difficult as possible. And he ricochets, and this is the time. It's like, well, Mr. E75, it is time for your death, sir. And we finish off the E75 next. And we've got our third kill of the game with 5,100 damage. That was a really awkward fight, just because of the fact we took a few hits that put us down to a one-shot for some of them, and also it's quite an awkward thing to fight that sort of corner with a turretless TD, but we managed to come through it quite well. Now we've got a shot into the side of the Jagdtiger, which we're slamming for 608. We've got the multi-weapon system, so I was like, you know what, let's try and get some multi-weapon shots into the Jagdtiger's side, but he ends up just turning for us, which gives him a shot into someone else. He's fired the heavy tank on my left, so I go, okay, you know what, now I'm unspotted as well. We can try and get a cheeky shot through, but he gets shut down. We're just going to come off of our little hill now. There's only one tank left. It is a medium tank in there, well, towards their base that is currently spotted by the light tank, hoping that maybe we can get there, get into render range, see if we can see a shot towards them. And there it is a 5100. It's like, please, Mr. 5100, I would like to shoot you. There he is. We put the shot down range, straight into the 5100, and we finish the game with 4 kills, 6.2k damage. The victory, 4 kills, like I say, the 1863 base XP, 4.4k blocked as well. It can block quite a lot. The Ace tanker, the high caliber, with the 1863 base XP. It can block a lot of damage, as long as they're not firing rounds that are more than 300 pen. And like I say, it's just fighting what you know has what penetration, and being careful when you know that something could go through you is pretty much the way to do it. But yeah, shout out to Go-Go as well on the enemy team in that game. Had a pretty decent game himself, and yeah, that's the Ho-Ri one, everybody. It's a tank that I quite enjoyed. I quite enjoyed the Ho-Ri one because that gun slaps and the armour is fairly usable. It's not the most impressively bouncy tank in the universe, but you can use it, and you can use its assets. It's just down to you and how you play it. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
A great success.